It's been so confusing. Okay, so we're recording. So it has been very confusing trying to work out all these time differences. But so it's Friday in America, Saturday morning in Japan. So this is our Bhagavad-Gītā slot. Um, so yes, Bhagavad-Gītā, starting a new journey. And I think was starting to say yesterday, the background of this is that our Japanese group is requesting, they don't have much literature here. Even ISKCON has not done very much at all. It is a very, very difficult language to translate, so I'm sure that's part of the problem. And I've also been told, even the little literature that there is the language is quite difficult for the average Japanese person. Um, and so they're requesting an introductory guide to Bhagavad Gita. And so going through this together with all of you, I'm sure will bring a lot of inspiration for this project. So that's the idea. So here we are. Srīmad Bhagavad-Gītā, the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. So I think we can begin from the beginning, go through it properly. And this is our special edition. And the story that we heard from Srila Gurudev, from Srila Govinda Maharaj, is that what had happened is that he had I don't remember if it was an injury or he was very, very sick, but he was bedridden for a few months. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj told him at that time to work on Bhagavad Gita. And so that was how it started. And our Gita, all the credit is given to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Gurudev published in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's name, but primarily it was actually Srila Govinda Maharaj's work. And then, of course, Srila Sridhar Maharaj oversaw and, did some editing, no doubt. And so it was under his guidance, we can say. But it was largely Srila Gurudev's work. But then another thing is that our English edition is actually quite a bit different from our Bengali edition. So it was the Bengali edition, which I don't have a copy of with me now, unfortunately. So it was the Bengali edition which Srila Gurudev worked on. But then this English one, that was published by Sagar Maharaj. And of course, with guidance from Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And it includes in some ways it's more special because it includes, each edition has their own unique special points because, that Bengali one has some things that are not in the English one, but then this English one also has some things, and specifically there are some commentaries of Srila Sridhar Maharaj that Sagar Maharaj included here. And particularly we can mention Srila Sridhar Maharaj's explanation of the Chatur Shloki, chapter 10, in chapter 10. And so these are things which haven't been published elsewhere. They were not published in the Bengali edition. So each of these editions has their own uniqueness. And I mean, that one day it would be wonderful to bring them together, actually. I first noticed it because once I was going through our Bengali edition, and I was looking at one particular verse, and I noticed that there was the word for word had some. Actually, I remember now, it was a talk of Gurudev where he was speaking about one of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's explanations for one verse, and he was mentioning the word for word, because the word for word sometimes has like a semi commentary in it. And so Gurudev mentioned some special explanation of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and I saw it wasn't in the English one. So then I looked in the Bengali one, I saw it was in the Bengali one. So I was quite sad about that, because we don't have that in English. But maybe one day we can put the two together. That would be really wonderful. Okay, so we're going to begin. And does everyone have a copy in front of them, or can get one? Vishabhanavi's got one. Nanda, I'm sure you've got one. Oh, is that the old one, Vishabhanavi? That looks like that big edition.
Yeah, if it is, it is. I got this from Kumkum Didi when she moved.
Okay,
And
okay,
lots of books from her.
okay. Yeah, that one is also um, has its own uniqueness to it because that includes the Gayatri explanation of Srila Sridhar Maharaj in the introductory section. Um, and that's actually difficult to find nowadays. I don't even know if there's anywhere else where you find it. Some of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's explanation is published, like in Subjective Evolution, I believe, but the full, like, commentary, the Sanskrit commentary that Srila Sridhar Maharaj wrote, I think it's only published there. So yeah, that is another really precious thing that is in that edition. So the translation is a little different because part of the idea of this one was that Gurudev wanted something a bit more clear and concise, the English. So it is a bit different, but essentially the same. Okay. So we can go through the Mangala Charanam and we can chant together. Oh, you know what? Actually, the way we were doing it before. Oh, I just saw Ananda sent me a message about that. Yeah, exactly. You have it set up already. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, if we could listen to Srila Gurudev chanting these verses, that would be wonderful. So you have that set up.
I think so. It's my first time trying this, so let me know if you hear anything.
Okay.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय मङ्गलाचरणम् ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रसितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारते अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्देशिनीम् नमस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्ण प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः षड्भूपनिषदु गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतङ्गमहात् वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गन्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन बेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैः रणनदी दैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् Loke sajjana satpadai lahara pepiyamanang muda bhuyad bharata pankajam kalimala pradhansi na sreyate yang brahma varunendra rudra maruta stunnanti dibbaistavai vedai sanga pada kramupanishade gayanti jang samaga ध्यानावस्थित तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति जं योगिनो यस्यान्तं नाविदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये.
Right. O Bhagavad-Gītā, song of the Supreme Lord Himself, you are the bestower of Arjuna's enlightenment. You have been woven into the scripture Mahabharata by the ancient sage Srila Vyas. In 18 chapters you are the rain of ever-flowing nectar, non-different from the Lord. O Mother, I meditate upon you. May you graciously enter my heart. Does someone else want to read?
Obeisance unto Srila Vyasadeva. O Srila Vyasadeva, a formidable intelligence, whose eyes resemble the long petals of the blooming lotus flower, and who ignited the lamp of knowledge, filled with the oil of the Mahabharata, I offer my obeisances unto you.
Obeisances unto the Lord as the chariot driver of Arjuna. That's where I right? I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, who fulfills the wishes of his surrendered devotees. He holds a driving rod in one hand, while the other is poised in the expression of instruction, and he is the milker of the nectar of the Gita.
The crest jewels of the Vedas, all the Upanishads are as the cow, and the milker of the cow is Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Arjuna is the calf, the nectar of the Gita is the milk, and the fortunate devotees are the enjoyers of that milk.
I bow unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the vanquisher of the demons Kamsa and Charuna, the joy of Mother Devaki and the universal teacher.
One bank is Bhishma, the other Dronacharya. Jayadratha is the water, the sons of Gandhari. The blue lotus flower, Salya. The crocodile, Kripa. The waves, Karna. The shore, Atstatama. Vikarna and company. The fearful sharks, Duryodhana and the whirlpool. And Keshava is the boatman of this river of the battle that was crossed by the Pandavas.
The Mahabharata as a lotus flower. These words of Sri Krishna Dvaipayan Vyasadeva, the son of Parashar Muni, are a perfect lotus flower. The meaning of the Gita is the beautiful fragrance of this lotus. The various episodes are its stamens, and the enlightening narrations about the Supreme Lord are its nectar. In this world, the pure devotees are the bees who day after day delight in drinking the nectar of the lotus flower. May this Mahabharata lotus, the vanquisher of all evils in this age of Kali, graciously bestow auspiciousness upon us.
Obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, whose glories are sung with celestial prayers by the gods Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, and the Maruts, whose glories are sung by the verses of the Vedas along with their 6 auxiliary books of the Upanishads, whose glories are sung by the Brahmins that sing the Samaveda, who the yogis see within their hearts absorbed in meditation, and whose infinite glories are inconceivable to all beings, whether gods or demons, Before reciting the scriptures that can conquer material existence, we offer obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, who is known as Narayan, Nara, and Narottam, the goddess of learning Saraswati, and the great sage empowered by the Lord to reveal the scriptures, Srila Vyasadeva.
Jai. Mhm. Beautiful. It's just really interesting, to contemplate how, you know, I think before I used to be like a bit bigoted in a sense, and like the sense of like, we're into Krishna consciousness, and all the Vedas and all this other stuff, like who cares, like, I used to be a bit bigoted like that, like Mahaprabhu, you know, Radha Krishna, who cares about the rest, I was a bit like that, but over time I'm kind of developing more appreciation, for the wider context of the Vedic knowledge. And, because actually it's really everything's a system and it's all built to bring you to that point, right? Like all the Vedas, all the scriptures, they're all actually designed to bring you, right, to the lotus feet of Radha Krishna Mahaprabhu. And so, it's actually so beautiful, they all have their role in that. And so, there's no need to disregard that. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, there's one very beautiful verse he wrote, and it was lost. We discovered it just like a few years ago. It was, you may remember this project that Srila Sridhar Maharaj was working on at one point to condense all of the verses of Bhagavatam into 300 of the essential verses, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he published this book, Bhagavad Arka Marichi Mala, right? And that was highlighting 1,000 amongst the 18,000, I think it's 18,000 verses, right, in Bhagavatam. And Bhaktivinoda condensed it to 1,000, and then Srila Sridhar Maharaj had a vision of condensing it further to 300. And he started it, and he wrote a few of the introductory verses, like his own original verses. And so one of them is that amazing verse in Gadadhar Pandit, describing him reading Bhagavatam to Mahaprabhu, tears streaming down his eyes. He's washing away the letters of Bhagavatam. That was one. That's in Golden Volcano. It's published there. And then there's another one that we hear sometimes about Radharani, glorifying Radharani, as that it's another amazing verse. Yadamiya Mahima starts like that, saying that her name is not mentioned in Bhagavatam, but actually her lotus feet are to be found in every syllable. Like that's one of the things mentioned there. So we had those verses, but then just a few years ago, we found in one of the old Gaudiya Darshans that Gurudeva published, another one which had been lost. And that verse is specifically making this point where Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying that that all of the scriptures are like they're coming to bring us to this point, right? And like that analogy is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, the third verse of Bhagavatam, Nigama Kalpa Trur Galitam Phalam, and it's describing all of the Vedas as a wish-fulfilling tree, and the fruit of that tree is Bhagavatam, right? So that analogy perfectly illustrates this point, right? That all of the Vedas, like the fruit needs a tree, right? The fruit needs some support around it. And so the all of the Vedic teachings are like that, like they're preparing you. That's what I wanted to say. The Mahabharata, right? The Vedas, all these things, they're all helping to prepare us to receive Krishna Bhakti, right? And to appreciate the glories of Krishna and Krishna Bhakti. And so they all have this really deep purpose in that sense. It would be nice to, let me see if I can find that verse. I think it's on Gaudiya Darshan. Let's see. It's a pranam to Krishna and Bhagavatam, I believe. Let me find it on Prema. It should be on Prema Dharma. So I'm like seeing that here, like these, this Mangala Charanam is kind of describing that, right? It's describing all these different personalities in the Vedic world. And, they're all like surrounding this like central treasure of Krishna and Krishna Bhakti. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj also gives this wonderful explanation. I'm remembering now. It's a verse that Rupa Goswami includes in one of his collections, and it's describing how like all of the different sound vibrations in the Vedas, if you look with a discerning eye, they're all congregating to celebrate the principal sounds, that is Krishna. That there are so many sound vibrations of different levels and stages of thought and realization. But if you look with it's not just a jungle, right? It's not just a random thing, but if you look with a discerning eye, then you'll see they're all actually coming together unitedly to celebrate the principal sound, the supreme sound of the holy name of Krishna. Let me see if I can find this. Pranam to Bhagavatam. Oops. Yeah, I don't know if I can find it right now. Never mind. Okay, sorry. Okay, anyway, I understand my point. Okay, then we can go to the preface, and this is a translation of Srila Gurudev's, Srila Govinda Maharaj's publisher's note, and that was published in the first Bengali edition. So that was on Janmashtami Day of 1961. Unique in its wide publication and extensive circulation, the Srīmad Bhagavad-Gītā appears in various languages, both in India and other countries, along with the commentaries of former great saints as well as modern scholars. The commentaries of the prominent Vaishnava acharyas such as Sri Ramanuja, Srimad Madhva Muni, and Sri Sridhar Swamipad are most notable, whilst amongst the proponents of Jnanamarg, or the monistic path, the commentaries of Srimad Shankaracharya and Sri Madhusudan Saraswati are well known. The commentaries of Sri Yukta Bala Gangadhar Tilak and Sri Aurobindo favor the school of Karma Yoga, or the path of action, and are also familiar to modern scholars. Great thinkers of both East and West have ardently sung the glories of Sri Gita, being inspired by the ideals of its teachings. However, the Achintya Bheda Bhed Siddhanta, theology of inconceivable oneness and difference, as revealed by the proponents of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaudiya Acharyas Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti and Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, is concluded by the learned devotees to be most favorable to exclusive devotion. The devotees also embrace Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bengali commentary of Sri Gita, as a harmonious spiritual mine of the treasure of divine love for Sri Krishna, Krishna Prema, the fifth and transcendental goal of life, beyond the four general human objectives of religion, wealth, sense enjoyment, and liberation. In his introduction, my worshipful divine master, Shri Guru Pada Padma Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Shri Srīmad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj has revealed to the readers glimpses of his own deep devotional realizations. Although numerous editions of Sri Gita are presently available, few commentaries can be said to nurture pure devotion, according to the teachings of bona fide divine succession, which has given us the opportunity of service in producing this edition. We shall consider ourselves blessed if the fortunate readers take the all-auspicious essence of this sincere attempt to heart. Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Navadvip. Okay. Does someone want to read the introduction? And this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's introduction. Should I go ahead? Okay. Vande Shri Guru Gaurango Radha Govinda Sundaro Sagunao Giyate Chata Gita Gudarta Gauravam. And this is a beautiful original verse of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, which I like to chant whenever I go to read Bhagavad-Gītā in invocation, right? This is very traditional in Sanskrit text in general, as I understand. But we see it consistently in the writings of our Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. You know, it's a very natural thing, right? That you're going to discuss the subject matter. First, you want to invoke the grace, right? Higher grace, because we don't just want to connect with this on a brain level, right? Or some academic level, but we actually want to have a living connection with the living substance that's here, right? And we hear that in the mat, traditionally before going to study scripture, when they're having a class, they would offer some flower first to the text, offer some prayers, like, please reveal yourself to me most graciously. And so we want to approach Bhagavad-Gītā in this spirit, not like we just want to get something in our head, right? But we're here to receive. We want to receive the living grace of Bhagavad-Gītā. And we want that to touch our heart and touch our lives in a living way, right? That's what we want. So it's quite a different approach, from, say like a scholarly perspective, it's quite different. Bowing down to the holy feet of Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, and Sri Radha Govinda Sundar, all accompanied by their associates, I sing the glories of the hidden treasure of Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā. Since Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā is very familiar to the learned society, an acquaintance of the conceptions of this edition may be given here. We are followers of the school of thought descending from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this edition is based on the Sri Gita commentaries of the preeminent exalted Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, Sri Vishwanath, Sri Baladev, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. By the grace of our worshipful spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pad, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, and from indications in the commentaries given by the aforementioned great pure devotees, in places some new light has been shed, revealing deeper meanings. The devoted reader will appreciate this particularly with regard to the 4 verses. That's chapter 10, verses 8 to 11. which were described by Srila Vishwanath Pad as the 4 essential verses, Chatu Shloki, of the book. Generally, Sri Gita is known as an excellent study of the science of religion. The language of Sri Gita is simple and sweet. Its mood is grave, extensive, and radical. Its thought is succinct, lucid, and impartial, and its logic is sound and natural. The eloquence of the prologue, epilogue, exposition, review, analysis, synthesis, and delivery of Sri Gita is unprecedented and charming in the extreme. Sri Gita's activation for the lazy, courage for the fearful, hope for the hopeless, and new life for the dying. I really, really like that line. Sri Gita's activation for the lazy, courage for the fearful, hope for the hopeless, and new life for the dying. So wonderful. Sri Gita unifies and sustains all ranks, whether revolutionary, occultist, optimist, renunciationist, liberationist, or full-fledged theist. From the atheist of grossly crude vision to the most elevated saint, the essential conceptions of all classes of philosopher are illustrated with clear and powerful logic. The devotees of the Lord, Bhagavad Bhaktas, and persons on the paths of action, knowledge, and yoga, karmis, jnanis, and yogis, will each find the essence of their paths dealt with in a comprehensive and illuminating manner, and thus the book is highly esteemed by all. The essential and inner purport of the Vedas and Upanishads of the Aryans is directly explained, and the essence of various non-Aryan doctrines can also be found. And I think by Aryans, everyone here knows what is meant, but just in case, or no, okay. Yeah, because that could sound a little strange, right? Because that was the term that Hitler used for the so-called higher class of persons that he wanted to propagate. So yeah, Aryan, as I've understood it, it just perhaps there must be some more refined understanding, but the general understanding I have is that it's referring to someone who's following the Vedic culture, an honorable person who is following the Vedic teachings and guiding their life, according to that. But then Hitler, because Hitler had actually studied some of the Vedic texts, and he took that, as he also took the swastika. He ruined the swastika. He also took that cultural appropriation. So yeah, it's just a little unfortunate about that. But yeah, the Aryans referring to a high class, highly cultured religious person following the Vedic teachings. That's my understanding. Sri Gita teaches us enlightenment through the selfless execution of scripturally ordained actions. So this is karma yoga. When the consciousness is thus purified, self-realization or spiritual realization is attained. Now this is referring more to jnana yoga. In its maturity, this pure realization blossoms into loving service in the joyful divine plane, bhakti yoga. So these few sentences, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is this whole introduction is just incredible. It's like Srila Sridhar Maharaj is so fine, so precise in his language and an overall view of the scope of Gita. But in these few sentences, he's summarizing this development that you find in Bhagavad-Gita, the development through the different yogas, right? The beginning with karma yoga, then progressing to jnana and dhyana yoga, and then ultimately bhakti yoga, right? So that's a really nice, concise explanation. From the standpoint of Sambandha Gyan, or knowledge of relationship, Sri Gita gives us the conception that the absolute reality is a transcendental personality. From the standpoint of Prayojan, or the objective, spiritual love for the absolute reality is given as the highest attainment. No, wait, did I read that wrong? Let me read that again. From the standpoint of Sambandha Gyan, or knowledge of relationship, Sri Gita gives us the conception that the absolute reality is a transcendental personality. From the standpoint of Prayojan, or the objective, spiritual love for the absolute reality is given as the highest attainment. And from the standpoint of Abhideya, or the means, we are taught that one must initially offer all his actions to the Supreme Lord, followed by the cultivation of self-realization favorable to realization of the Lord, and finally surrender to the Lord to the exclusion of all other endeavors. Ultimately, the means will culminate in the objective when, in one's perfected spiritual form, one wholeheartedly engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Very nice. So, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan, right? These 3 points are very helpful for us in understanding what is our philosophy and our practice and our goal, right? And so, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is indicating here, right? Different conceptions will have different answers to these 3 things, right? What is the true nature of things? What is the goal? And what is the practice, right? And so, what is Bhagavad-Gīta's viewpoint on these 3 points? So Sridhar Maharaj is stating that here. And then this point is also very nice, that the means will culminate in the objective, which is what, and that's saying that ultimately Abhideya and Prayojan, they will merge, right? So by which I mean, what is initially a practice that will, like, in the beginning, we may think of these as different things, right? I'm practicing and then this is the goal. But ultimately, the 2 will be one and the same, right? So, for example, I may go to Arati now as a practice, or I may chant my japa now as a practice. But eventually, well, hopefully, maybe thousands of lifetimes from now, that will, I'll be doing those same things with prema, with divine love, with like actual deep connection and feeling and realization. And so it's not that, oh, you're going to like graduate and then you're going to be part of this like secret membership club and you're going to do all these secret special things and you're going to have, golden plates and gold plated tea, which is a thing I just discovered. in Dubai, they have that tea with gold leaf on top, So it's not like that. Like there's this whole other secret special thing, membership club for billionaires. They have like millionaire clubs, right? It's not like that. No, it's like Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, right? Like someone asked him, so what is it that you get out of this chanting? You get to keep chanting. If you can appreciate that, then you can stay. If that doesn't make sense to you, just go now. Just don't even waste it. If you can't get how wonderful that is, you think that sounds crazy, then, maybe just go. You get to keep doing the same thing, but with so much more joy in your heart, with so much more love and connection in your heart. That's what this is. Shuddha Shabba Prabhu used to joke about that, is Gurudev eating Mori with the golden spoon? Gurudev just happily living his simple life, but he's internally feeling so much depth, So the external aspect may remain the same, more or less, right? Of course, ultimately, that day may come when you actually enter the divine pastimes. But even then, what are the gopis doing all day? They're churning butter, they're cleaning their house, they're chanting the names of Krishna. That's what they're doing, living in the forest. So ultimately, the means will culminate in the objective when, in one's perfected spiritual form, one wholeheartedly engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Sri Gita has clearly shown the distinctions between the various paths, such as the path of action, including worship of the gods for worldly fulfillment, and the path of knowledge for the attainment of liberation. The thoughtful reader can note that Sri Gita, by its comparative study, refutes the misconception that the many paths and goals are all one. Rather, it is stated, Yo yak shraddha sa eva sa, a man is known by his faith. These verses would warrant deep consideration in this respect. The yogi is superior to persons engaged in austerities, superior to the person of knowledge, and superior to the person of action. Therefore, O Arjuna, be a yogi. And best of all yogis is my faithful devotee, for whom I am the only goal, and who serves me wholeheartedly. This is my opinion. Showing the inferiority and meaninglessness of dry renunciation, the gift of Sri Gita is most substantial and positive. Rather than merely renouncing action, one should selflessly offer one's actions to the Supreme Lord, Karma Yoga. Ultimately, based on one's surrender, one will be inspired to act in devotion, bhakti, for the Lord alone. This is the conclusive and sublime teaching of Sri Gita. In the finest conception, the overall excellence of Sri Gita is found in its gift of devotion. In its full manifestation, such devotion is prema bhakti, loving devotion to the all-attractive Supreme Personality, Sri Krishna, reality, the beautiful. Secret, more secret, and the most secret of all teachings have been given as the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, Sankirtan, and service in spontaneity, bhava seva, with exclusive surrender and dedication to the transcendental pleasure of Krishna as the ultimate goal of life, as sung by the vibrant clarion call of Sri Gita. Sarvadharman prityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja, and is deeply contemplated by the followers of the lotus footsteps of the Supreme Lord, who mercifully appears as the savior in this age of Kali, Sri Chaitanya Chandra, and as corroborated by the divine succession of saintly teachers. May Lord Sri Krishna accept the offering of this edition. Swami B.R. Sridhar, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, Navadvip, Janmashtami, Bengali year 1368. Right. And that was 1941 according to our Western calendar. Janmashtami. Oh, Sadhvi is also with us. Oh, wow. So we have two tuning in very early in Europe, like 4 a.m. or something. Wow. Very happy you can be with us. Wow. My goodness, our America crew kind of let us down here. But our friends in Europe are making more effort. My goodness. That's pretty impressive. Well, I'm sure you're just very auspicious early risers anyway. That must be what it is. That's wonderful. It's actually the best time to get up, isn't it? What time is it now? Oh, it's 2 a.m. in London. Okay, but a little later in Turkey and Norway. Okay, well, maybe we should stop there for now. It's the close of the introductory section. And then we can start with chapter 1 next time. Anyone have any thoughts you want to share? Any point to bring up? There's so much here in this introduction. Oh, Sulalita. I'm glad we can all share this journey together. Yeah, it's just incredible. You know, Srila Maharaj is like in this, it's just like 3.5 pages, but it's so concise. There's so condensed. There's like so much that's here. I'm just gonna like sit and reread this. And just on a personal note, like this has actually been incredibly helpful. I'm getting some ideas for the project. And it's showing, you know, I mean, in these few pages, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is kind of like first addressing the universal kind of, oh, let's see. Okay, very nice, Sadhvi. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is sharing oh, Ananda Krishna has a hand raised. I'll just finish this sentence and Srila Sridhar Maharaj is first showing like the universal view of Gita and how Gita is so relevant to everyone. And that's one of the things that's made Bhagavad-Gītā so famous, you know. And I mean, like all kinds of people, writers, philosophers, scientists, politicians, you know, from all walks of life and all parts of the world, they've all expressed their appreciation. Was it Emerson who said, like, every morning I bathe my intellect in the verses of Bhagavad-Gītā, something like that. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj is like addressing that, and then he's kind of refining and going in and saying, and this is our, you know, refined particular view and appreciation of Bhagavad-Gītā, what we see to be as the ultimate message and gift of Gita. Yes, Bhagavad-Gītā is very broad, and it's something for there's something there for everyone, but it also has like a particular direction that it's trying to take you, and this is what it is, and this is the final message of Gita. Yeah, you know, there's a broad net being cast, and then everyone's being brought in and slowly brought to this ultimate goal. Yes, Ananda Krishna Prabhu.
I was just curious when that recording of Gurudev was taken, of Gurudev reading all throughout Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, you know, I think that is mentioned on our Mott website, scsmott.com. I think it was Madhusudan Maharaj, who was Mahananda Prabhu at the time. I believe it was him who made the recording. And I think it's like early 2000s. But I think it is mentioned on our SCS Mott website. So we can check there. Okay, Rishabhanavi is clarifying. Henry David Thoreau. Okay. Yeah, Emerson, he has another quote, right? But it was Thoreau who says he bathes his intellect in Gita. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a little unfortunate we don't have more of these kinds of recordings from Gurudev, you know? And, you know, like there's a recording of Gurudev chanting one part of Prapana Jivanamrita, like one short section of Shri Shri Prapana Jivanamrita, but it would have been nice if we had more. You know, nowadays the technology has advanced so much, you know, but we don't have that great Paramahamsa to record anymore at this time, this point in time and space. Yeah. Yeah, there's one chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's like, I think one chapter of Prapana Jivanamrita, or at least a part. And then I mean, that is also pretty amazing, the full Bhagavad-Gītā. I gotta be grateful for that. That's pretty amazing, the full Bhagavad-Gītā. Thank you, Madhusudana Maharaj.
And are those recordings available on our Mott website of Gurudev chanting Prapana Jivanamrita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, or are those just circulating through the devotees?
The Chaitanya Charitamrita, I have to say with some pride, that was something very exclusive that Shuddha Shabha Prabhu got. And he gave it to me. Yeah, I don't know if he gave it to anyone else. Maybe a few more, but you know, Shuddha Shabha's style, like he wasn't always so, you know, generous in that, or he could be like, this is like some secret wealth that I have, you know.
Yeah, keeping it low key. Okay.
Yeah. Like, yeah, just like this is really like, you know, you don't just hand this out to everyone, you know. And it was just his personal recording that he made and he relished listening to. And we were friends, so he kindly gave me a copy, and perhaps he gave a few others too. But that I published. It's on the SoundCloud. And then the verses of Prapana Jivanamrita, that is on the Mott website. I would have to look for it, but I'm pretty sure it's there on the Mott website. Yeah. Yeah, but it might be a little difficult to find. We can dig and find it. And also another thing is the Prema Dhamma Deva Stotram verses. Like we have a recording of Gurudev chanting a few of them, but I wish it was more. Okay, great. Rishabhanavi's putting on the link here. Awesome. Is that for the Chaitanya Charitamrita verses? Oh, for Gita. Right. Yeah, for Gita. All right, then. Should we close there for today? Any last points? Well, thank you all for sharing this journey with me. It's so wonderful in many different ways for my personal nourishment and also for the purpose of this book project and Bhagavad-Gītā. So I'm really grateful to you all. Jai Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Dakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, all the assembled devotees and sincere seekers ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Diba. See you all next time.